Hi, my name is Cobus Breytenbach. I am the president of 33 North Homes in Atlanta market, and today I'm going to be answering the most frequently asked questions that we get in regards to kitchen renovations in our market. How long does a kitchen renovation take? The average renovation, if you just do a standard switch up where you keep the same layouts together and then you just really take the old cabinets out, new cabinets, countertop, backsplash, it's about 3 to 4 weeks. If you start moving things around, opening up walls, you're looking at about three to 4 months depending on the size and scope of the project. A lot of people will say, what does a kitchen renovation cost? But they don't necessarily define, are we moving walls, are we moving appliances, are we getting new appliances, etc. But the general rule of thumb is, for a cabinet that's going to fit your household and give you the most return for your money, you can expect to spend anywhere between 10 to 17% of the overall house's value. So that way you know that you're actually putting a cabinet into your house that is equivalent of what somebody else would expect if they ever was going to buy your house from you. Cabinets is one of those things where the overall cost really varies depending on the line that you go with. When you start knocking down walls in a kitchen, that really drives the cost up big time. As soon as you start opening up walls, you have to get permits. In order to get permits, you've got to get full architectural drawings and engineering. So suddenly a standard switch out of a kitchen cabinet suddenly becomes a much larger renovation just because of the state and local codes that we have to follow. Countertops has some variability in them. Backsplash has a little bit of variability in them, but the cabinets is really the big one. When you start looking at the cabinet lines, I don't want to call it's not a lower end line, but when you start going with the more easily available cabinets, you tend to be limited on the door styles and colors. But because it's limited, there's more production of them, so you can actually get those cabinets cheaper. The difference between the pre-manufactured cabinets and the refacing, the cost is almost equivalent. The only difference is when you do the full cabinets, suddenly you do have countertops and backsplash and plumbing and stuff associated where the refacing does not have that. How do you go about design for kitchen remodel? So with 33 North, we're a design build firm. So we actually have an in-house designer that works with us. I do the layout work and getting the plans ready and everything for permitting if permits are required. And then at that point, you'll be put in contact with Lisa and she'll kind of help you with picking out all the finishes. Once you come into the showroom, you'll see we've got all kinds of variations of flooring, tile, cabinet lines, door hardware and all that. So she kind of creates the package beforehand, and then we'll do a little 3D rendering to kind of show you what your kitchen's going to look like with your particular finishes that you had selected. It's not quite picture quality, but I want to say it's about 98% there. So what can you do to plan for a kitchen renovation? So ultimately, it really depends on the overall scope of work. Quick change out, it's super simple. Clean out your cabinets, keep the kitchen area clean, open concept, knocking down walls. We kind of have to maybe 30% of your house is going to be affected, so we really need to get all of that cleaned out. So what are the phases of the kitchen renovation? First and foremost, of course, it's just getting the design completed, picking your finishes. That is ultimately one of the first steps that you have to consider. And with us personally as a company, once we have those materials selected, we will actually order it, get it into our warehouse. And before we actually come into your space and start disrupting your life, we want to make sure that we have everything. So the last thing we want to do is end up in a position where we started the construction where we don't have the material, and then something happens and suddenly we're delayed by a week or two, and now you're going to be outside grilling every night because you don't have a kitchen. So we try and pre-plan that a little bit, but then once the construction starts and we have everything ready to go, after that the demo crew comes in, they take everything out, disposes of it, we get everything ready. The rough in is light fixtures, any changes we might be making to the overall project. Then once that's completed, then we'll actually bring the drywall guys back in, they'll prep the walls, close everything back up, and as soon as that's done, cabinet installers come in with the cabinets, they knock it out. Installing the cabinets usually about a day and a half, depending on the overall size of the kitchen, and on rare instances it'll go maybe 2 days on very large kitchens, but overall it's about 2 days. As soon as that's completed, we get the countertops templated, and then during that time, between the cabinet install and the countertop template, there tends to be a little bit of a lull. And when I say lull is there's a little bit of a delay in the project, or you might feel like not much is going to be happening, because countertops takes about 5 to 10 days to manufacture and get them to installed. So at that point, everything's already been prepped. So then once the template gets done on the countertop, like I said, that's where that lull comes in. And we might be there a little bit in and out, maybe doing a little bit of touch-up paint, that sort of thing. But during that time frame, the project's going to be pretty quiet. As soon as the countertop gets installed, at that point we're back off to the races again. Plumbers are back in to reconnect plumbing, electricians are coming out to do their light fixtures, backsplash is being installed, etc. Financing for a kitchen remodel. I would say out of our clients, most of our clients will do a HELOC or like a home equity line of credit, or they'll go through their local credit union and just get a construction loan. Now there are other products out on the market that actually specializes where you can get 0% interest and so forth, through the construction company itself. However, what we tend to find is that the interest rates on those ends up being really high. So most of our clients just prefer to do their own financing, either through their bank, pull out equity, or go through a local credit union for their projects. How much value can remodeling your kitchen add to your home? Now in the Atlanta area, you can expect a return of anywhere between 54 to 70% as soon as the project is completed. It just depends on the house and the overall product that you put in there. If you put a entry-level kitchen in $1 million house, your return is going to be very little. If you put a higher end line in that same house, it's going to be a lot, and vice versa. If you put a super expensive cabinet line in a $300,000 house, you're not going to recoup that as much because the overall value of the house just doesn't support the cabinet line that you put in there. Can you live in your home during a kitchen renovation project? You absolutely can. Just know that you are going to be, you're going to be without a kitchen. So you just have to pre-plan a little bit. A lot of times what our clients will do is they'll just set out their grill. They'll just pre-plan on with that and say, we're going to be grilling every night, and the nights when the weather's bad or something like that, they'll just go out to dinner. But you can absolutely live in your house doing a kitchen renovation project. When does a kitchen renovation require a permit? So in Georgia, a standard kitchen renovation actually does not require a permit. However, the plumber and the electricians need to pull their permits. So you don't actually have an overall permit for the kitchen renovation itself, but your specific trade still needs to be licensed, and they do have to pull their permits just to make sure that everything's done to code. Now, as soon as you start opening up walls and moving appliances around, then the overall project needs to get permitted. The opening wall is really the driving factor there, where you can still get trade permits if you just move something a couple feet each way. But as soon as you open up that wall, it totally changes the dynamic of the overall project.